patient, because he was really patient with us. Like he would just keep going back and going back and going back. And also I appreciate the videos, because most of the time I was always busy during the class, so I always had to go and catch up. And on a side note, I need to add that the last video, I'm still expecting the last video to catch up.
Oh, okay. We would
But
post.
yeah, but I actually appreciate his patience, because I came without knowing anything about Nime, and I've gained like so much. So, and my advice to anybody is that you can just go back to the earlier videos and just read up on it. I'm sure that you would catch up. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the comment. So I'm with a co-pilot. You may be hearing some background noise. I have a co-pilot with me today, so yeah, just excuse the background noise, okay? A very handsome niece. Okay, so today would be moving forward to another series, which should be, also interesting. Um, you all have seen all these interesting models and what they make possible, what they allow us to do is incredible. All these newer models. During the cohort one, we went through the we went through several classes explaining how these models are created. We're talking about transformer models generally, right? How they're created and how they work. Yes, what makes them effective? What makes them effective, right? But just following the same thesis of program, just following the same thesis of our program in the second cohort, we are fully about application, right? So we're about application in this cohort, and what can you do with these models? What interesting possibilities does it allow you to do? Yeah, so that's what we'll be working on. We'll be leveraging OpenAI a lot. So if you don't have an account with OpenAI, it would be good if you can set up one. It may cost you maybe $5. How much is $5 in Naira now? That should be about 10K, less than 10K. Let me see. 5 times, I think it's about 1,600. Okay, that's about 8,000 Naira. Just to recharge your OpenAI account, I will follow step by step how to do that. It's very easy to do. And also would be using a different platform to do for the Gen AI, no code Gen AI. The platform makes it easy and effortless to create Gen AI applications. Not the model itself now. The first class was focused more on how to create classification models, different types of models. What you've learned is very powerful. It is so powerful. In most enterprises, all they want to know is, okay, when do we take a decision? When do we do this? When do we do that? And what you've learned is something that will allow organizations to be able to, use data to make those decisions, right? You can imagine a company that is trying to know, okay, what time predictive maintenance, when do we do predictive maintenance? Or a company that is trying to learn, or predict revenue in the next X month based on performance over the previous X month. All right, that's regression. So you can do all of that now. Or imagine a company that wants to allow for AI automation in terms of quality checks. In terms of quality checks, using image. All you just have to do is to, similar to the cat and dog classification that you did on 9, all you have to do there is to gather a lot of products that are defective, train on them, also gather a lot of products that are not defective and train them as well. And by the time a new image stream comes in, feed it into the model, and then you would have some incredible automation right there to tell you whether a product is defective or not without having human in the loop, right? Powerful. That is incredible, right? So what you've learned is it has meaningful application in industry today, and you have to be proud of yourself, especially if you have followed up until this point. So I'll be sharing my screen and be walking us through the platform that we'll be using today, uh, and the subsequent generative AI no code lessons. One moment. All right, so the name of the first platform is called N8N. Has anybody heard of N8N before? Anyone? Okay. Thomas, are you raising your hand? Chinasa, or is from the previous one?
It's from the previous one. Sorry.
Okay. All right, you can lower it then. All right. Okay. So no one has heard of N8N. Don't worry, you are in for a very beautiful ride. It is a similar to Nime, but has some, it is more suited for generative AI related applications, right? So if you Google N8N, you all can see my screen, right? Sorry, not N8N GitHub. Just Google N8N. And the first thing that shows up, click on it. Secure AI native workflow automation. That's what this says, right? So I'm getting messages that some people are having server error. Some people are getting server error while trying to connect. Okay. That's weird. All right. So this is the platform that we'll be using. You don't have to install anything if you don't want to. So even though the one I will be using, I installed it. There's a copy that you can install. And I'll explain why. Why would you bother installing at all when you can just use the cloud version? The reason is because if you don't install it on your system, if you use the cloud version, the one that is cloud hosted, it is paid. It's a paid tool. Meanwhile, you would have access to about 2 weeks. Let's go to the pricing. You'll have access to about it's 20 pounds per month. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. Wow. That's 20 pounds per month. To use the standard plan. But of course, the free plan, if you do start it with a free trial, so just come here and start with a free trial here, So click start with a free trial and then fill up this your full name, your company name, you just can put any, any of your emails in there, and then password, and then account name. This account name is what will so let's just do this together. Even though I already have one, but it's very straightforward to use. So I can just say Oimig, Oimig, and it's so something like this, and then I can say try for free. Oh, okay. I think I already used this email. My free trial would have expired anyway. So I think I used to have, I think I used to have one account, but it would no longer be available on a free trial. So yeah, but since you guys are new here, it's your first time of trying it. So just follow up with the normal registration. You should be able to easily do it. Let me try with another email. We'll try with this. All right. Okay, I think I've used all my emails. I've used all my emails. So yeah, try it out. Okay, I think I have one email that I haven't used yet. I just want to show you I've already done this before several times, so uh africanaifoundation.com, right? I'm sure I've not used this email. Very sure I haven't. And then you answer these basic questions. Okay, engineering, less than 20. Have you tried any of these two before? Let's say I've tried Zapier before, and make an N8N. How did you hear? How did you hear about N8N? Let's say I heard N8N from Twitter or from a friend, just, pick whatever is relevant to you. And what apps do you use? The app that we'll be using mostly would be OpenAI. Don't worry, you don't have to, it doesn't restrict your access to anything. It's just an onboarding, a normal onboarding stuff, right? In fact, it may not even, it may just skip this altogether. So don't be worried that, okay, if you pick something, you won't be able to use other things, right? So you can just pick anything to be able to proceed. Right, so and then continue. Invite team members, so skip. I don't want to invite anybody. And then start auto team. It's a very simple onboard flow. Yep, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like once you get into N8N. And you'll see, we'll soon start exploring, what it allows us to do shortly. So alternatively, if you don't want to use the cloud version because it's paid, I would not be able to use this cloud version after 2 weeks, right? Again, you can see I've already existed all my emails with them anyway. So I won't be able to use this after 2 weeks. So what you can do is just you can create a new N8N account with another email, or just install it. So to install N8N is if you are technically inclined, right? I know we've said that, okay, we want to make sure that this Cohort 2 is able to carry along a lot of people that are not technically inclined, right? And that's why we designed it this particular way. New device detected. Okay, am I still audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. I'm getting a prompt that new device detected. I don't know what that means. Okay, So even though we've said okay, everybody should be able to follow, even though whether you're technically inclined or not, right? If you want to have your locally installed end version, you can do that. That way, you're not going to pay anything, and you can use it for as long as possible. So just Google N8N. So there are two ways to install N8N on your local system, N8N npm. So if you come here, the method number one is you must have node running on your system before you do this, right? Install with npm. To install N8N globally using npm, do npm install N8N-G. After installation, start N8N running the command N8N start, and then that's it. It's as simple as that, right? So I have done something like this. I use the Docker method. So if you have Docker installed on your system, how you would know if you have Docker installed is that you come to your terminal and then you say Docker. If you get something, you can see I have Docker installed, Docker run, Docker exec, Docker info. Then I will be able to run these commands. I'll be able to run this command. Docker run. I means interactive. T means terminal, and then name it N8N. This is the internal port within the Docker container, and this is the external port. We don't want to bore anybody with technicalities. We want to make sure that everybody is able to come along and follow. But if I copy this with Docker already installed on my system and paste it and I say enter, I would have installed N8N on my local system. Or if I came here, copy npm install N8N-G, I would have installed N8N on my local system. But if you're not technically inclined, you've never written a line of code before, don't worry, just use the cloud version. It's as good as the installed version, right? You don't have to be worried that you would lose some features or lose anything, right? So just use the cloud version if you don't know about npm, because now to use the npm you need to have installed node. So if you don't even know what node is, don't worry, just use the cloud version. Or if you don't know what Docker is, don't worry, just use the cloud version, right? So the one that I have running is here. So it's a cloud. I installed it on the cloud, right, using Docker, but it's essentially still the same thing, right? You can tell just looking at it and looking at this one that I just created right now. There's really no difference. It's essentially the same thing, right? And how does anything work? Very interesting. We'll shortly, review OpenAI. Right now we have established that you can express anything without paying any cost, right? Whether you install it locally on your system or you use the free trial version, just keep doing the multiple trial. For you to be able to deploy it, your skill at scale, you may want to install, you want to install if you want to deploy your what you've learned at scale. Maybe you want to monetize it or you want to do whatever with it. During the first and second class of this series, a lot of people came to say, okay, you know what, my intention is to learn how AI can help me monetize my skill. I'm already a lawyer. We had people that said something like that. I'm already a graphics designer, or I'm already a doctor. I'm just curious how AI can improve my workflow, and you'll be seeing all the possibilities that's available to you now with AI. So first thing, anything is not AI only, but it is AI powered. It's not only AI that you can do on anything. You can do a lot of other things that we'll be exploring shortly. So if I come here to say add workflow, so the only thing you do on anything is create workflows. So people that say, okay, what is a creative workflow? What is your graphic generation workflow? What is we all have workflows that define how we do our stuff, how we create our value, how we support the people that we do, right? But the only thing you can do on anything is create workflow. Now, what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be learning how to create AI workflows, leveraging different models out there. So if you come here to say add workflow, and then you come to this plus button here. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Am I going too fast? Are you guys able to follow? Let me. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
Stick touch it. What a name. Okay. You have the permission to speak. Oh. You raised your hand just now. Please, sir, how do I get Docker installed? Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. So installing is it like installing on VS Code or where?
Okay, you want to go through the installing option. Do you have Node already on your system? Have you installed Node on your system before now?
Yes, I already have. I use that for programming.
Oh, you're already programming. Awesome. Then you can install anything. So if you come here, if you already have Node.
Is it via VS Code? Is what I was saying.
Oh, just go to your command prompt. Go to your command prompt,
Okay.
or PowerShell anywhere. Or you can use your VS Code terminal as well. That works as
Okay,
well.
that's what I want to be sure. All right.
No problem. No problem. And then we have someone asking. Good evening and welcome. Please, where can I find the previous class? You can find the previous class. This question comes up all the time. So go to classroom.google.com. Yes, go to classroom.google.com. Excuse me, I think my session also expired. Right, so this is the classroom. From this classroom, you will see all the previous work done, and then you can even interact with other students, ask questions. So I'm going to copy the invite link to the classroom for you, so that you can join the classroom. All right. Another question is saying, please, how do I install? How do I get Docker installed? Okay. Okay, this is from Shoyemi. Mr. Shoyemi, hello. Let me see. Can you raise your hand? So I can unmute you. There are a number of ways to install Docker. It depends what operating system you're using. If you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, or if you are on Linux. So if you just Google install Docker on X operating system that you're on, you will be able to get on with that. But again, if this is your first time of hearing about Docker or having to install Docker, I would really recommend that you use the cloud version that will not involve you installing anything, at least for now, right? Just do that for now. Okay. All right. All right. So moving forward. Yeah. So please feel free to raise your hand. Dr. Tuli is on the call. It will help call my attention in case if there's anything I need to pay attention to, because I can't see what's going on here. Okay. So yeah. So when you get into anything is so powerful that all the apps that you use today are already on N10. And okay, someone is raising their hand. Okay, who's that? Obina Emmanuel, you have the floor. Sorry, not yet. I think you should have the floor now. Kebu Obina, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hello. We can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Sir, please, I want to ask, how can we get, or how can we download this? Because I just enter now, I see you're in an interface. I don't know, is it possible to please share the link of the site you see visited via the question and answer section?
Okay, to share the site. Okay, sure. So it's
Okay,
n8n.io. n8n.io.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So this is the site. So just create a free account, free trial. Do a free trial. Yeah, you don't have to install for now. You have about 2 weeks to use the free trial. If by that time you know if it is, if it is something you want to install or not, right? But just for now, you can use the cloud account. Okay, so I'm now explaining what it allows you to do. Okay, so everything can be broken down into workflows. You remember the whole NIME? Where's my NIME? Okay, I think I just restarted my laptop. NIME, you start with a workflow. The beginning of your workflow is that you fetch the source of your data, or NIME, and then you plug it to some learner, whether it's a regression learner or you plug it into, something that can render some charts for you, or you plug it into whatever. Then you create a workflow. The workflow represents how the model will learn and how the model will cross-validate, and then how it will optimize the model. And then, perhaps if you want, you can even add workflows for how to save the model, on production. The likes of Google, Facebook, Instagram, and the likes, they don't click a button to train their model. The model is training all the time automatically, right? So that's part of, that will be part of their workflow, such that new data, maybe every hour, it will automatically take the new data, new learnings, and use that new data to train the model. And they serve the model immediately, and then how you experience that is in terms of the quality of the content they serve to you. When you log into Instagram, these people know me. It's like they are hearing me. When you log into YouTube, you feel like they've been listening to you all this while. That's the model working. Someone just raised their hand again. Okay, Obina, stick touch it. You have the floor. Anyone that's raising their hand?
Once again. I was the same lady, don't worry.
No problem. You want to say something?
Oh, I already asked my question. I was the same person that asked question the first time.
Okay. I saw that someone raised their hand just now. Is it Obina? Okay. Obina could not use his microphone. I think he's having network problem. It's reconnecting. Okay. So what I was saying there is that all these big companies, when they deploy their model, they have their workflow for doing certain things, and I'll show you how you can do something like that on anything here. To start with, when you have a workflow, something must start the workflow, right? On anything, after we have put in our CSV from wherever, we run the workflow, right? But imagine in a sophisticated environment, you want the workflow to be able to run when you're not on your system, such that once the data flows in, it can do what it needs to do. Here, you can do a number of things to trigger your workflow, right? So what are triggers are things to start your workflow. Number one, you can trigger it manually, similar to what we used to do on anything. You can trigger on app events. This is where anything shines so much, so powerful. What are the app events? App events are things that happen within an app. When you add a calendar invite to your calendar, that's an app event. When you receive a Gmail message, that's an app event. When you receive a call, that's an event. All those things are events. So if you want to say that, okay, you know what, start this workflow, start this AI workflow when something happens within an app, you can do that. So for example, if I want to do something when I receive a message from Telegram, right? Can you see? On channel post, on edited channel posts, on inline query, on message, right? On poll change, on shipping query, on pre. These are all triggers from Telegram. So I can say that from Telegram, trigger my AI workflow, right? I could say from Gmail on message received, right? Say when I receive a new Gmail message, trigger some certain things, right? Or so you have a bunch of apps here. I don't think you can really exhaust you for you to be able to. Okay. Okay, if it's the previous hand, you can lower your hand. Okay. Okay, I think I've just lowered it for you. So, okay, you're raising it again. All right, please unmute and speak. Unmute. So, hello, stick chat. Your name is a tongue twister. We cannot hear you. Try again. I would proceed. Okay. So, once you're here, you can, do whatever you want based on what is happening within an app. That's just another way to trigger a workflow. I think they should have YouTube, right? So if you say that on YouTube, when okay, YouTube doesn't have any trigger, no trigger available for YouTube, but you can, do a lot of things with YouTube. You can get a channel, you can get many channels, you can update the channel and do all of these things, right? But these are not triggers, these are actions. So there are two things. Triggers are what starts the workflow, actions are what happens within the workflow, right? So we're still dealing with triggers right now. So here is another one on schedule, on a schedule. So to do on a schedule, you'd be like, okay, every hour of every day, every hour of every day, run this particular workflow. or every minute of every day, this every 5 minutes, within the day, run this particular workflow. So you don't have to be there for the workflow to run, right? So moving on with the other triggers, we have webhook call, very, very powerful. As a developer, StickChat is a developer, right? I'm sure we have other developers in the room. As a developer, you can write an API with, PHP, Python, your Fast API, your Django, your .NET Core, all these things. But you can also create an API and make it like a webhook, such that it is this webhook call that will initiate all of the possible workflows within your, whatever you have designed. Also, you can do on form submission and all these other things. So we will be using two major type, mostly trigger manually and on chat message. So there's a trigger that looks like a chat, like all those chat bubble that you see on websites. You can create that and attach it to some AI models such that it will have the intelligence of AI models. But essentially, it's a trigger within anything. So those are the two that we're going to be using mostly within this series. All right. So moving on, the next one would be, you would need to have an OpenAI account. OpenAI. So if you come here, platform.openai. Okay. Wow, that's interesting. I have $999 in my account. I think you can add like $5. So just come here, add like 5, and then put your card and then make that payment. It will allow you to be able to, unfortunately cannot, if I give you the key to my account, it won't be enough for all of us, right? So I can share the key here, unfortunately. So you just go to platform.openai.com and go to billing and then add credit to balance. You can add as low as $5. That will be sufficient to do what we want to do on generative AI in the Cohort. So to get your key, come to your profile and then come to user API key. Your profile, come to your profile and then user API key. And you can create a new key right here. Just give it a name. So you can give it permissions like all, restricted, or read only, right? But just for this purpose, you can just do all permissions. So just give it a name. So I have a number of keys here already created, so I won't be creating a new one. All right. Yeah, so bring me back if I'm moving too fast. Someone just raised their hand. StickChat. Can you teach me how to pronounce your name properly? Please go on, StickChat. Stick the cheat.
I think it's Tick Techite.
Oh, Stick Techite. Okay. All right. We still cannot hear. We still cannot hear. Let's continue. Yeah. So once you have platform.openai, your profile, create a new key, and copy the key. The key is secret because if someone else has your key, they can burn through whatever it is that you've added here. So you can just add like $5. There are ways to control these, right? But let's just keep it simple for now. Put $5 and then put get your key from this place. Okay, yeah, so that's that on OpenAI. You see why it's relevant shortly. Okay. So why we are doing all this is to allow us to create some unique workflows. I've created some example codes. If you're a programming type, you would understand what is happening within this code, right? So we would do this exact implementation, but in no code, right? So this is saying that import OS, import OpenAI, import.env, and then use GPT 3.5. Don't worry if you don't understand this. We're going to, recreate this with no code and test run it. What is happening here is that we are using a chain. We are using a simple chain to say, hey, you'll be provided with the customer service queries. The customer service query will be delimited with this character. The character is this, right here. Classify each query into a primary category, a secondary category. This is a prompt. This is a prompt, right? Provide your output in JSON format with the keys, primary and secondary. For example, primary categories are billing, technical support, account management, or general inquiry, right? Billing secondary categories, right here they are, unsubscribe or upgrade, add a payment method, explanation or charge, dispute a charge. Here are technical secondary categories, and then here are secondary account. This is just a synthetic problem where you want an AI model to detect the category that a user input belongs to. This kind of thing will be useful if you're doing currently what's when you call like 180, all those customer support, so they say press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. If you were to do that, you leveraging AI, all you just need to ask is that, okay, what is it that you want to complain about? And then or what is it that you want to talk about with our customer service? Once the person explains what their interest is, the software should have been able to route them to the correct customer support service. But of course, AI is emerging. You guys will discover how to do it first before all those businesses, learn how to do it. Press 1, press 2. Some of those IVR queries can be nested as like 4 levels. So for account balances, press 1, you press 1. Okay, if it's a ATM related issue, press 1. If it is a online banking related issue, press 2. If it is a recent related issue, press 3. And then once you do the press maybe 3, they're not like, okay, if this happened, press 1. That is so 2020, 2001 or 2005. Now, with you having access to the actual information that the customer wants to speak about, that is sufficient for you to know how to do it. It's because AI wasn't as advanced before. That was why, that was the case. So we are going to the first Gen AI applications. Remember our purpose, our goal. Okay. Our goal is to, show you several practical applications of Gen AI. You're going to see a whole lot, as a lawyer, as a whatever it is that you do, you see how to actually, incorporate Gen AI into whatever it is that you do. So let's take this as an example first. So now the question from the user is, I want you to delete my profile and all of my data. So now the system should be able to tell you the category that it belongs to and the secondary category that it belongs to, so that you don't ask the user, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. That is the problem we're trying to solve. Is the problem clear? Are we clear with the problem statement? Or you want me to explain a little bit further before we get into it? Nobody's raising their hand. Are we clear with the problem statement? Or before we even get into the problem statement, how would you try, people that write codes here, how would you do this? How would you do this without generative AI? Without generative AI and without saying press 1, press 2, press 3 for whatever it is, right? What other way would you have done it? Can anybody think of any other way? That is not Gen AI, that's not IVR. You can raise up your hand. How would you have solved this problem? Address in the room. You can raise up your hand so I can unmute you. Okay, no ideas. So let's get into it. Let's get to it. So we would receive input from the user. Okay, Obina has an idea of how to do this without using generative AI, nor using IVR. Obina, you can speak.
Sir?
You wanted to respond to the question? How would you do it? Are you a programmer?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
To achieve that, I think you can use a nested if statement in normal programming language.
Okay, the IVR is using nested if. The IVR is using is still the same thing. It's still the same thing, but yeah. So that means you're a programmer, right, Obina? You need to know what nested if
Sure.
is. Okay. What language do you write?
JavaScript, a part of Python.
Okay.
That's it.
That's good. All right. But an IVR, when you say press 1, press 2, press 3, what it's doing is nested if behind the scenes. What that model program is doing is nested if behind the scenes. But without you doing that, there's really no other way. Well, what we're saying is that there's now a more intelligent way of solving that problem, and that's what we're going to. That's the first problem that we'll try to solve here. Right. So let's work together. Okay. So the first thing I would do is to come here and then add a trigger for on chat message. So I want to be able to send a message as though it's a phone call. You can just imagine this as the input message coming from somewhere, maybe from email. The email setup is going to take some time, right? So that's why I wouldn't want to use that right now. It's to set it up will take some time. So we'll send a message, and then the model will say, okay, it belongs to this category, it belongs to this subcategory, right? So that we can now use that to do some other things downstream within our system. And you can imagine what you can do with this thing that we're about to build as well. Classical sentiment analysis. For you to do sentiment analysis with NLP, stick techite. You've been trying to speak for forever. It's like your network is not allowing you. Oh, okay. I thought I gave you permission to speak earlier. Okay. Do you want to go for it? You have permission to speak. Hello? Still not speaking. Okay. You make me. I mean, so it's not like a distraction. Stick the kite. Is it? Are you there? All right. Let's continue. All right. So the first thing we did was to say when chat message received, that's the trigger. This is it. Once you see this lightning sign, is a trigger. The next thing we are going to add to the workflow is this. So if you come here and then you search for chain, just say basic LLM chain. Use basic LLM chain. Basic LLM chain. And then you come to the settings. Yeah. So I have already set my own keys for my own LLM chain keys. So let me stop here first. This is what it looks like right now. Currently, this is what it looks like. Once a message is received, then execute a basic LLM chain. Right? So now I can configure this by adding the model. There are a bunch of models I can use, right? Old llama model.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello?
Tick the kite.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, so sorry, my network has been off and on. So I was asking, what's the use for the Open AI platform you said the other time? I think my network went off.
The use of the OpenAI is because we cannot deploy a local model right now, or at least not right now. If we are not using OpenAI model, we will have to deploy a model locally. And not all of our systems are capable of running a model locally. You get that, right? To run a model, you need a very powerful system. You're speaking in terms of several, like 32 gigabyte RAM, Core i7 with GPU, like essentially an Alienware. And I'm sure not everybody here is using an Alienware. What we would have done is to install maybe a Llama 2 or a Llama 3 on our local system. But it is possible, but we will lose a lot of people because of the kind of system. In fact, a lot of people are joining this call on your mobile phones, right? So the reason why we're using OpenAI is because it is essentially an infrastructure service, a SaaS service that we connect to, that now provides the reasoning engine behind the workflow that we're creating. We're trying to build an intelligent system, right? Artificial intelligence systems are, essentially intelligent systems that will tell us whatever it is that we don't want to program traditionally. In this example, this IVR. So since we don't want to use a traditional method of writing the code to say, okay, this input from the user belongs to this category, and AI will have to tell us. Right. So now that's why we're using OpenAI. We don't have to, if you have other models, actually, so here's Olama model, here's Cohort model, Olama Chat, Mistral, Grok, Google Vertex. If you have any of these, feel free to use any of them, right? I just felt like OpenAI is, much popular.
Okay, so what we are using now, what you are currently using for us now, is it Open AI platform now?
This is N8N, locally deployed N8N.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I only copied my OpenAI key from here, and that's all I need from OpenAI.
Okay.
Right. So what we are doing is we are trying to solve this problem here. Here's a problem that someone solved with code, and we want to solve it without code. When users when users come up with their question, instead of you to use an IVR method, when you call, your bank, when you call your telcos, what is
What's an
it? Press
IDR?
one.
Sorry, what do you said IDR? What does that mean?
IVR is what tells you press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. When you
IDR or IDR?
Yeah, VR.
Okay, IVR. What's the full
Yes.
meaning?
I think it's integrated voice response.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So are we good now? Can we proceed?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is to simulate that IVR. The IVR, the integrated voice response or interactive voice response, is not smart enough to know exactly where to route it to. So it needs you to do the work as the user. So you are the one doing the work because, of course, you're smart, right? So you know that, okay, you're trying to report a fraud. It's an ATM related fraud. It is so where press 1 to get account balance, press 2 to report fraud situation. You press 2. Press 1 for online fraud, press 2 for ATM fraud, press 3 for whatever fraud. You press whatever applies to you, and then it uses that to route to the right correct team internally. So you are the one doing the work because the IVR, the integrated or interactive voice response, is not smart enough, right? But now what we're saying is that now a software code can actually learn the category that something belongs to without you having to manually do a nested if. This same logic is what will allow us to do something like sentiment analysis. Tell us whether this thing is positive or negative. I love the rain. So don't worry, we'll get there. Let's just solve this problem first. So this is the first problem we want to solve.
I like this project.
Sorry.
I think I like the project. It's awesome.
Okay. How do you pronounce your name, please?
All right. My name is Oge. Don't worry.
The one that you have here, Stick the Kite, right?
Yes.
Tongue twister name. All right. Okay. So now what we are building here is that we don't want to push the work to our users. We want our model to know. So the question will be like, okay, what are you complaining about? What is the issue you're having? And then the user say, I noticed some transactions in my I noticed some transactions that I did not do, and I'm suspecting fraud. And then the AI model should be able to know that, oh, this is meant for this team, and then we route to that team effectively. So we want to be able to detect, what. Okay, I think Anikan, you have the floor. Please go ahead. Anikan might be struggling with his network. Okay, so yeah. You can use the Q&A as well. Feel free to use the Q&A. IVR stands for interactive. Thank you so much. Yeah, interactive voice response. My network is bad. What's the use of OpenAI platform? Okay, I think I've explained this. My question, you're now being transferred to, okay. Please, is it possible to get a complete coursework outline to help intensify study? Yes. I'm happy to announce that I have installed anything on my system ready for use. Awesome. Afolabi Shillian. Awesome. Will there be a recording to watch later? My internet is quite bad. Yes, there will be. There will be. All right. So also, if you're struggling with your network, feel free to use the Q&A aspect. Annika, do you want to speak now before I continue? Oh, Anakin, can you speak up?
Okay. Yeah, I got kicked out for like the past 10 minutes, so I wasn't really following what was going on.
Okay, what part is confusing you? We've not really done much. I mean, there's been
Just
a lot of
came in now.
questions. Okay, yeah. So just follow. If you have questions, you can ask. I think you should just follow. Okay. All right. So now we are back to N10. This is the N10 website. Good. Anika, do you want to ask another question? You don't have any specific question, right? Yet, at least. Anikan. Okay.
No, I'm just trying to remove the hand.
Oh, okay. It was showing like, yeah. So just follow along. If you have specific question, you can feel free to ask, okay? Right. So now what we want to do is to make sure that the model can tell us once the input from the user comes, for example, I want to delete my profile for all my user data. We don't want to write any code. We want to create this same thing without writing shishi code, right? That's essentially what we want to do. So this is the prompt. This is the system prompt, and then we pass it to this, to the model. So what I'll do here is that I'll copy this. It says you will be provided with customer service queries. The customer service queries will be delimited with this character, which is ### characters. Classify. This is a classification model. We are doing classification, but with Gen AI. It is so difficult to do this without Gen AI, using normal classical NLP. You will, if you have done it before, you would know the kind of, you sweat. But now, Gen AI allows us to be able to do classification. We have categories. Categories are billing, technical support, account management, or general inquiry. Under billing, we have unsubscribe or upgrade. We have add a payment. We have explanation for charge. We have dispute to charge. Under technical support categories, we have general troubleshooting, we have device compatibility, we have software updates. Under account management, we have password reset, we have all this, right? So now we will let the AI model detect which category or subcategory it belongs to for the downstream usage, right? So now I'll go back to my N10. This is my installed N10. I'll plug my model. So again, I'll be using the open chat model. We wouldn't have enough time in the cohort to try all the models, but they are essentially the same thing. You can register on their websites and get their API key. It's pretty straightforward, right? So I have set my OpenAI account. But imagine if I did not, I would just come here to say create new credential and put my API key here. Once I put my API key, you don't have to put organization ID, it's optional. It's only when you're using the enterprise OpenAI. Once you put in your API key, save it, and then you will have something like this. So I have OpenAI account because I have already registered my own key. Next thing I would do here is to select the model. I want to use GPT-4o mini. And that's it on the model. So can you see? I've attached a model to the chain, to the LLM chain. Next thing I would do on the chain to configure it to bring the settings is similar to KNIME. Just imagine KNIME. all the things that you've done online, you can repurpose those skills here on anything, right? It's just that it's different in terms of what it allows you to do, but it's essentially in a similar no-code platform as well. So double click it, and then you come to the settings on the chain itself. It is in this place that we will, configure the chain. What is the chain supposed to do? So here we say define below prompt, because we have our prompt. These are our prompts, right? So we'll come here. We would come here. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So we want to configure the chain now with our prompts. So take from previous node automatically. No, that's not what we want. We want to define our prompt below, right? So we define our prompt right here. So actually, hold on, sorry. So keep it this way. Keep it this way, and then come here, chat messages, add prompt, click add prompt. Someone is raising their hand again. Let's finish this first, and hey, stick kite. What's your question now?
Hello. So my question is, sorry to take us back. So on my terminal, it says 179 packages are like looking for funding. Does that mean it's okay? Then it said, please migrate to use at Azura or Azura, whatever, core reset pipeline. What does that mean? Yeah.
You should be good to go. So you can do npm n8n start now. Run n8n start.
Okay,
Once you see that start.
Okay. All right.
N8n, yes. Okay. Do we all have n8n installed? Are we ready to go? Should we continue? Don't worry. Today is just for the first. We're going to be scratching the surface today, right? Next week is when we're going to get into the core depth of the use cases. Dealing with voice, dealing with images. Dealing with. Do we still have the lawyer on the call? I can't recall his name. There was a lawyer that was looking for how to optimize his practice with AI. So you have all your legal documents, all your previous blockbuster case, so that you can easily ask AI key whatever ideas about previous law cases. All those things would be possible based on what we're working on now, right? So feel free to stop me if you have issues with installing the n8n. Yeah, I'll be happy to take a step back. But in the meantime, I'll be continuing. Okay. So what we're doing is that we are replicating all this without code. We are replicating this customer integrated customer service IVR, integrated or interactive voice response with no code. So I've copied the prompt, and then I'll come here, system message, right? So the system message is this, that information that we are telling the system, right? You will be provided with this, blah, 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 blah. So I'll just remove this value that is, a variable. I'll change it to actual thing, 3 hash in my own case, or I can do even 2 hash. So the customer comment is coming with 2 hash so that the model can know. I can even do anything I like. I can do $sign. It's just a delimiter so that the model can know that, okay, anything surrounded by the $sign is the customer comment that you need to focus on, right? But let me leave it at 2 hash for now, or maybe 3. All right, so this is the system prompt. Hope we're together, right? Then I will now add another one, another prompt, but this time it will be user. It will be user prompt, right? And then the user prompt is going to be, so let me execute from the previous node so that I can get a value. Okay, hold on. All right, so the user prompt should have, let me say, okay. So this is the message from the customer. Tell me more about your flat screen TVs, right? So let me put it in the chat. So this comes by default with your N10 installation. You don't have to write any code to, the chat interface just comes. If you even want to install it on your website, it's very easy and straightforward from N10, right? So this is the message from the user, right? So I'll just use this to finish my wiring. I'm not done with the wiring, but I need to reference the message from the user, right? That's why I had to go send that. So now from the second prompt is user, message type is text, and then message type is text, and then the message itself. So I can come to this schema and then carry the chat input, put it here, and then surround it with the 3 hash. Remember, I said it will come with 3 hash. So the result is tell me more about your flat screen TV, and then surround it with hash, just like I told it in the system message that it would come. Have I lost you guys?
Is it possible to paste the prompt on the Q&A so people follow?
Okay, sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sure. I was actually going to share a document. Okay, I think I have it here. Let me make the document globally readable so that you guys can follow. Right, so this is the system prompt. So that other people that will be catching up with the class, the recorded class can also reference this. And then user message. So thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. So user message, we have 2 messages. User message. We have another message. Tell me more about your flat screen TV. So I will share it with everybody so that they can have access to this user message. So this is the system prompt, right? This is the message from the user that we are, detecting, we are classifying essentially. Right, so I will make it globally, visible, so you can use this link. Kenneth JK, I have installed N10 on my Ubuntu with the aid of ChatGPT. Okay. Is this video recorded? Yes, it is recorded. Kenneth JK is wondering what the concept of what we're learning is. Kenneth just joined this call. That would be. I would recommend that you catch up with the recording. We've already, studied it like a million times already, right? We are using Gen AI to do things that are, to do things in a more effective way than what classical AI would have been able to allow us to do, and than what normal programming would have been, would have allowed us to do. So this is just the, beginner class where we'll be doing a very basic lesson of, detecting customer intent when they reach out with their message. Right. So that is the today's class would be, once we are able to get the model to detect the customer intent from their message, that'll be a good point to end today's class. And then of course I've been installed anything on your systems as well. All right. Okay. So right now, this is the configuration that I have. Take from previous node automatically is the prompt that I have here. And then here, chat messages. So I'm using a chat model, and system prompt says that you'll be provided with customer service queries. The customer service queries will be delimited with these 3 hash characters. Classify them into primary and secondary category. And then I gave you those primary and secondary category. That is what we're doing. And then the user message, I dragged it from here, so you can easily drag and drop, right? So I dragged the user message from here. This came from the previous node, which is an input to the second node, right? So I dragged it and I surrounded it with a 3 hash, as I told it I would do. That's all I've done here, right? And then the result is that, tell me more about your flat screen TV, because that's what I put in the chat, right? And then here, I attached it to an OpenAI model. Right? So if I come here to now say, test this step, it has executed a node properly, and it says, this is a JSON response. It says it's a prompt, it's a general inquiry, and it's a product information. Primary, general inquiry, secondary, product information, right? So if I close this and then I come here to the chat, right? Can you see? This is the output that we got. So in case I want to use this for other downstream stuff, I can just use that information and attach it to, something else. But we just want to, solve this part for now today, right? Where we can now pick it up from next class. So what we've been able to do is to detect, customer intent just from their message. Now let's use the second one. I want to delete all my user data. I want you to delete all my user data. So we'll put it in the chat based on what we've configured. Chat. And then put it in there. So can you see? Primary, account management, secondary, close account. This is exactly what we asked it to do. Okay. Okay, someone is raising their hand. I know it will be, steep at first, but just hang in there. You will get a handle of it. Stick the kite.
My question is, how did it know or interpreted the primary and secondary?
Good one. That's a good question. Okay, how did he know? How did he know? Any more questions? Let me take all the questions. How did he know? That's a very good question, isn't it? More questions. How did he know? Someone's hand is up. Afolabi Shillian. Shilon. Okay, sorry. I've not allowed you to speak yet. Okay. Yeah. What's your question? Okay. I think Afolabi is having network issues. Let me just go ahead and answer the first question. So, how did you know? We would not be going into the detail of how to build transformer model. We did that last class. You can catch up with, I think it should be class 13, 14 from the last course. It's on YouTube and it's on the class 1, cohort 1 classroom as well. But transformer models have learned the latent representation and connection between within reality. How did they learn this? Let's start first with large language model. Large language models learn it from the use of words that they have been trained with. Talk about novels, talk about all the published material and published work on the internet. Talk about all these things have representation of intelligence. They are essentially a copy of somebody's mind. Now, if you remember from class 1 and class 2, when we were describing how these models learn, right? They from the very use of those words, they break it down, into tokens, and then they look at how the words are being used across several thousands or millions of different forms that are being used. And then they are able to learn what those words means. They are able to learn how those words are used. They are able to learn, the different forms of those words. And what you have as a result of that is zero-shot learning. That is the meaning of zero-shot learning. Zero-shot learning is once you've trained a model, the model is sophisticated enough that you can ask it a question without having to train it or fine-tune it. It understands what you're saying and can give you feedback. So a lot of what you have seen on OpenAI is zero-shot. A lot of things you've seen on Gemini and Cloud, all those things are zero-shot. Zero-shot is what makes generative AI shine. Because I didn't tell it. If you have done classification, you will see how much work you guys did on cat and dog, just to differentiate between cat and dog. Now, I can do a generative AI to say, oh yes, tell me if this is a cat or if this is a dog, and then it will just tell me that it's a cat or a dog without me having to train it or to tell it, okay, do all those special work. And that is the reason why Gen AI is the future, right? We've just done classification across how many classes? About 5 classes, and then even subclasses, right? So without having to additionally train it, if the model is capable of zero-shot inference, then it's a zero-shot model. So the more the model is able to, do zero-shot understanding, the more powerful it is. So all the work that all these guys have been doing lately is to essentially improve the zero-shot capabilities, in science, in physics, in astronomy, in all this, so that if anybody that's knowledgeable in that field asks it a question, it should be able to know without you saying that, okay, let us train a model for astrophysics, or let's train a model for physics, or let's train a model for economics, or let's train a model for, it is sort of like general purpose, right? And that is the reason why, don't worry, by the time we get into more scary examples, you will see why generative AI is way beyond, just typing into ChatGPT and then giving you a response. It can power a lot of experiences, that can replace, of course, I mean, programmers are worried, right? Which is valid because Gen AI can, replace a lot of things that we do. We had to do all those things from NIME workflow so that you understand how these things, if you were to write code for those things in NIME workflow, it would have been more technical, right? But now we can do all of those things with Gen AI, and all that we do use is natural language. So imagine we want to do a workflow where all the comments on Google Play, I have an app. I've deployed my app on Google Play. People have downloaded the app. Some people have positive comments. Some people have comments that are not so good. But it is impossible for someone to read 1,000 comments. Like you can't do any science on that, Abby. You can't do any science on 1,000 comments. Or maybe some people have up to 10,000 comments, 50,000 comments, depending on how popular the app is. The right way, to handle that scale of data is now feeding the comments into a Gen AI that will tell you, okay, what is this? Is it a feature improvement? You can do a classification, feature request, whatever. Create your own classes, and then the Gen AI will tell you, okay, this comment belongs to this thing, this comment belongs to that one, or some people are unhappy about the app. This is what they are complaining about, right? And then you can actually programmatically do scientific stuff that will help you improve your app. That is essentially what we've done here. That is the same thing. It's the same thing. So here, what will just be different is that instead of me using a chat LLM, chat window, it will be something like an Excel sheet that will contain the comments on Google Play, that will contain the comments on Apple App Store, right? And then I would attach it based on my system prompt. See, this is my system prompt, right? I'll say, okay, I will be giving you this information. Tell me, what a comment from the user belongs to from all these categories. These are the categories that I'm interested in, right? And then it can just, tell me, okay, this particular comment is this particular comment is that. And then you can hand that over to your product team, and they will be able to say, hey, okay, our customers are complaining about our, sending money feature. It doesn't work well all the time. But if you were to read 10,000 comments, you would have not been able to do that, right? So these are the impossible things that Gen AI is making possible. And this is zero shots. This is zero shot inference that we've just done. We will do some other examples that are few shots. So in Gen AI, the first level is zero shots. The next level is few shots. The third level is full fine tuning, right? So we have about 4 weeks to go in the cohort, right? I don't think we would have enough time for full fine tuning. We will take the whole OpenAI model and fine tune it for a different purpose. That is like you are showing it new data, new information, maybe your company documents, maybe your internal IP and stuff, right? That is possible. Few shots is that no new information, you just ask it and it gives back to you. Few shots is just giving it limited quantity of information. It can become useful for you, and then fine tuning is of course larger. So that is in the order of category of how much data you would need to make the model useful. Few shots, nothing. Sorry, zero shots, you give it nothing. Few shots, you train with just very few examples. It could be, here is SQL commands that I want you to know based on my database schema to get the number of customers I have on my system. Do select staff from blah 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 to get the number of this. To get the total amount of funds I have in my account. Do select staff from this thing. Just give it like 3 or 4 examples. If you figure out the rest, that is few shots, right? And then the last one is fine tuning, where you have large amount of data, like in thousands of examples, right? So what we've just demonstrated now, to your question, is that we've just demonstrated few zero shots, the zero shot capabilities of Gen AI. That is what we've done today. We've demonstrated zero shot capabilities of Gen AI. That is really what makes Gen AI interesting, is the zero shot capability. Okay, someone is raising their hand. Afolabi.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
you've busted some of my myths. Number one myth you busted before during the class is that there's a belief that the computer listens to us when we listen to our thoughts, listen to us when we converse with people, and you have busted that myth. That's number one. Number two, you also talk about the issue of programmers. Why won't we be afraid? With what you have just explained, I'm extremely scared. But I'm happy that I'm in a safe hand. I'm in a very good place. And number three, from what you have just demonstrated so far, I discovered that the response is a JSON response, and it just basically tests. And it's beneficial to the operator, the person operating it. We have not gotten to the stage in which the customer can receive feedback. And what we have done is just is text. And while you are doing it, I just remember that I used Gemini, and I can't wait to see when we're going to go into the voice and voice responses and communicating with the user. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the first comment. Yeah, I mean, the level of sophistication of the model used by those platforms, means that they will be able to pick up intent from your behavior online. When you shop, when you search Google, when you search all those things, they gather all those data and they use it to build a model about you against your user ID. There's a user ID on your phone, right? So they're not really listening to your microphone, but things that you want, you may not be saying it out with your mouth, but you are acting it in reality that they are watching. They are watching, and they are picking up all those small data points that you're leaving around, suggesting to them that, oh, I want to buy a car or I want to buy a jug, and then they start showing you cars and jugs everywhere. The second point is that you don't have to be afraid. I mean, it's the developers that don't use AI that would be replaced by the developers that use AI, essentially, right? You have to be afraid. So the third point is that, yes, it is possible for us to, I can make anything call your number now, or I can create a number from anything, of course, the Twilio setup, right? But that is outside the scope of, this is a JSON response, of course, and that's because I asked you to make it a JSON response. Where is it? Provide your output in JSON format, right? Can you see this? Provide your output in JSON format with the keys, primary and secondary. So this thing, I would have coded it. Yeah, what program do you write, Afolabi?
JavaScript and Python.
JavaScript and Python. You would have imported a library, a JSON formatter, and then done something. Let's assume you are even able to get this data structure somehow, from the intent here. Let's assume you're able to do that. But this thing that I said, I gave you this instruction in natural language. I didn't have to code it out, right? To say that, okay, put a JSON here like this or like that. No. This would probably be maybe 4 or 5 lines of code if you were to write it. But I just wrote it in English. Provide your output in JSON format with a key, primary and secondary. Primary categories, I gave it. Secondary category. So anybody here can be a programmer tomorrow. Very soon, anybody here can be a programmer. We've just demonstrated that you can use natural language to create like a programming, programmable data. Essentially, that's what we've just demonstrated here. We didn't write any code, right? And then I gave it human. I want to do my profile. Oh this is my human. This is my own question, and then give me the response. So even though you are, whatever you think you are, you can be a programmer, and with Gen AI, essentially. That's the I guess that's the crux of what we're discussing here. So imagine I want to send this as a mail. I can say that, I can connect this to a Gmail. I can connect this to a Gmail to say send a message or make a phone call or send a message. Send a message, right? Of course, I would need to set up a lot of credentials. I don't have that set up right now. Send a message to Gmail. I have to set up client ID and client secret from Gmail. I have to set all of that up, right? But I could say that, okay, or I could do something like this. Let me disable this first. Where's this? Deactivate. Or I could do something, or let me do this. I could do something like this. If I could say if the sorry, my screen seems quite small. Okay. Right. So I can come here and say that if I just moved in the entire JSON.text, dot okay, so this is what I have. What I'm trying to test is that I can create a different route for different categories essentially to simulate the call. We have billing secondary category, we have technical secondary. So I can send a mail to say that if the primary account, if the JSON.text equals to, this is not going to work, but this is essentially what I'm trying to say, equals to account management, right? And then I can, if it is true, I can say send a mail, Gmail. So send a mail to account management. Then I can create another one that if it is something else. No. If it is something else, send to, and it is true. So Gmail. Send to, let's say this one is technical support, right? So let's say this one is technical support. Send a message to technical support. Or what is missing right now is a credential, but this kind of workflow can be used in production and it will work fine, right? So I can also change this, if I want to use this in a real production environment, I can say that when an email is received, I can change this from when the chat is received so that, because this is just a demo one. If I want to use it in a real production environment, I could say when trigger, I need to go to trigger. And then say trigger on app event, Gmail, when a message is received. So something like this. Yeah. So of course, I mean this is quite basic, right? What you're just seeing here is an AI reasoning engine in between. So let's imagine a scenario where you have customer support at company.com. All the messages go into customer support at company.com, and you want an AI to decide who should see who should receive that message, right? So that it could be forwarded to the right person. You have many sub teams internally, right? So this is a workflow. This is a design workflow that we have designed. The only thing missing is just the It's just the credentials, right? So if we set it up with the credential, if I send an email that says I want to delete my account, it will reason about it, and then if it matches whatever that I'm looking for, it will, take the other actions that I want it to take. Right. So, but this is the core of what we're trying to demonstrate today. I could decide to say that, okay, if it is equal to one particular thing, if it's equal to that, then make a Twilio, right? Make a call, right? Make a call on Twilio, right? And then wire it. Of course, I will have to put my Twilio credentials. The thing is that we have only 2 hours for this call, right? Setting up all those things can take a bit, but what we want to stay focused on is the reasoning, right? What we want to stay focused on is the reasoning, but not a full end-to-end application. Maybe we can do a full end-to-end application next week rather. But for now, we just want to stay focused on the what's it called? On the reasoning layer, which we have been able to do. All right. That's a long-winded answer to your question, Afolabi. Obina?
Yes, sir. I must really confess, I'm enjoying this. This is getting interesting. Thank you.
Even myself, I enjoyed this class. This is the only class that made me want to stay in this course, sincerely, because it's making sense right now. Every other one looks abstract. This is more relatable.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, can I request for the video, like, for example, just release the video immediately after the class so that I can just take my time next week going through everything gradually to ensure that I understand better. I have a better understanding.
No problem. Yeah, so stick techie, it may be abstract, but the knowledge is of what you know is why you are appreciating generative AI. It's so important because yes, I mean, generative AI zero shots is powerful. Zero shots or effects of generative AI is powerful, but without you understanding classification, you did the classification of dog or cat. You know how much work you did is the reason why you're appreciating that. Okay, generative AI can give you classification by just speaking natural language, right? That is the reason why. So it is important that you follow through that progression, before you get to this point. If we did this first and then later now do classical model, you would not appreciate it, right? So all those lessons are important and effectively good as well. So yeah. So here is an example of a customer service bot that has a reasoning engine in between that is deciding should this go to A, or should it go to B, or should it go to C, or if we even want to do a real, what's it called? If we want to do a real phone in, I can use a trigger. I can also use a Twilio trigger. Twilio trigger on app event. So Twilio trigger. So I'll say on a new call. So this is a trigger. Don't forget, triggers are different from actions, right? So a new call, Twilio trigger on a new call. Sorry. Twilio trigger on a new call. So this LLM will collect the message from the caller, and then the LLM will now decide, okay, what is the caller talking about? What does the caller want? And then it can now, if it is one thing or the other, it will now transfer the call to someone else. This is make a call, right? This one is Twilio incoming call. So you have infinite flexibility in terms of what you want to do, what it allows you to do, but the bottom line is that it will it will be impossible for you to do anything what at the end of the day, without generative AI, what you would have is just a statically typed, like your normal program. But infusing generative AI into this flow allows you to, create some, impossible, some things that you never would have been able to do. Bamikole, okay, hi, Luashe. Oh, okay. I think the network is quite shaky. Francis? Francis, you can speak, please. Hi, Oluwaseyi or Francis. I think there's a third person. Afolabi. Hello, Afolabi.
So I did not lower my hand the other time. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, all right then, no problem. Okay. Any more questions? We are out of time. Today is just to kind of like scratch the surface and whet your appetite in terms of what we're going to be doing in the subsequent week.
This scratching is a good start.
Okay, stick techie. Thank you. We have two hands up. You can unmute if you want to speak, please.
I'm seeing that my hand is up, but I didn't raise my hand, so
Oh, okay. That might have been a mistake then. Okay, all right. So what we have been able to demonstrate here is that we didn't write any single line of code. What we use is natural language. And we were able to detect the customer intent, right? So let me do one last example. The only thing we've done for now is just one customer input. I will disable these things. What I can do is to set up against next week. I can set up Twilio, because I would definitely need, credentials from Gmail, Twilio, to create a full end-to-end flow where you can make a call and then receive call and do all those kind of things, right? But for now, I will deactivate the things I don't have credentials for right now so that we can, do another example. Right. So what we've done today is to convert this, we replicate this without coding. Yeah. So we've done, tell me more about your flat screen TV. Now let's do this. I want to delete all my user data. So it should clarify.
Israel, you're not audible. If you can hear me. Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't know. My AirPod died. Thank you for calling my attention to it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. So I just want to quickly do another example. User input and then letting us know what class it belongs to, what class the user input belongs to. Quickly, I'll just type it here. I want to delete all my user data, account management, and then the secondary is close account. So I can decide to now say, okay, if the secondary is equals to close account, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. No. So let me say I want to I want all my money back. I don't want to bank with you again. I don't know what it will give me. Billing, disputed charge. Can you see that? Billing, and then it says secondary disputed charge. Okay. Can you give me an idea before we close? What should I type? You can raise your hand if you like to give me an idea to see how the model will work. Okay. Who is raising? Greg? Hello, Greg.
Yes. Okay. One idea is like, what's your reason? You don't want to bank with us anymore. Can you give us your reason?
Okay, so right now we are not doing. We've not done it's not a full end-to-end conversation model that we have. What we are just doing right here is to infer customer intent based on their message. Right. So,
Okay.
what are the things that customers tell service providers? So, let me say, for example, my internet quality has degraded and not working well enough anymore. Something like this, right? So, these are the questions that consumers tell service providers. So now what we've done is to simulate something within a system of the service providers that will detect what the customer, so it doesn't have to be humans yet, so you can now channel and forward a call or forward the messages to the right department. That's what we've simulated right here, right?
I want to borrow. I want to take a loan.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, fantastic. See, my internet quality is degraded. It says technical support, general troubleshooting. If you look at that, it is part of our classification. We have technical support, and then we have general troubleshooting as part of the secondary. Can you see? So this is classification, but with natural language. Okay, so someone said something. I want to borrow money.
Yes, sir. I want to borrow.
It's not really anyway. Let's see.
Like people do borrow credit or something.
So it says it's a general inquiry and product information, secondary. No. So from next week, what we're going to do is we will set up a full end-to-end, chain that will be able to allow you do full service delivery. If we complete a model that can, essentially, based on what we have here, that's what this is doing. If I change the system prompt to Greg's inputs earlier, right? If I change the system prompt, the model is going to behave differently, and of course, I can repurpose it for something else. But this is what we've, essentially targeted. This is essentially what we worked on today, right? So next week we'll be creating a model and a workflow that will, well, before I say anything, does anyone want us to try something next week? Give us idea of what to, do with an AI model and our workflow next week. What should we do? We have a lot of questions and answers. I did not check. Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, I lost my ATM. Okay, thank you so much. I lost my ATM. Fantastic idea. I lost my ATM. Account management, account security. Fantastic. Fantastic. I lost my ATM. Let me see. I made a transaction and did not get the alert. Fantastic. That's a very good one. So billing, explanation for charge. Right. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So
yeah. So from next week, what we're going to be doing is to, now start doing more complex, AI reasoning. If you come here, you will see all the things you can do with advanced AI. We've only worked on this basic. That is what we've worked on. So you can see that, in fact, the entire, time in the cohort is not enough for us to just teach this alone, right? But we will try to go as deep as possible, as deep as we can, so we'll do some question answering using some vector databases, sentiment analysis. This thing, I can change it to sentiment analysis. I don't have to do another sentiment analysis stuff, right? This particular basic LLM, I can change it to sentiment analysis. Let's quickly do that before we end the call. So if I say you'll be provided with the customer service query, the customer will do the, so now instead of saying classify, I can say, tell me, let me see, where did it end? Okay. All right. Classify each query into positive, into a positive or negative category. Provide your JSON. I can remove all of these. Classify each query into positive and negative category. Yeah, let me see what is what it's going to give me here. I love your product. So now if I come here and I say I love your product, positive, right? We just done sentiment analysis. I dislike your service quality so much, negative, right? If you have done NLP sentiment analysis before, you would know how difficult this step is. This thing that you've just done here. And now what this allows you to do now is to say that, okay, if it is positive, do something like this, send a message to the customer to say apologies and blah 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 blah, blah. If that's what you want to do, you can say if it is negative, do this, say, handle it this way, or create this kind of scenarios, or do this kind of things, so that we if they also, you can say if it is positive, thank the customer, and give them a coupon for patronizing you. If it is negative, give them a call, and understand what happened. It is insane. Your imagination is essentially the limit, right, of what you can do. All we did is that this same basic LLM chain, I just changed the system prompt, and then I repurposed it to something else, right? And that's yeah. So I was just explaining that we could use this basic LLM as a sentiment analysis. But yes, you have a sentiment analysis node as well. We could say summarize these websites. Perhaps that's one of the things that we should do next week. We'll give it a website and say summarize it. And then it will load the content of the website by itself, scrape the website, and then summarize it. Right? Are we agreeing? Should we do that next week?
A big yes.
Sorry?
A big yes.
Okay, a big yes. All right. Okay. So we'll give it a blog. We'll give it a URL to a blog. The guy will now go to the blog, go and download all the content on the blog, and then summarize the content of the blog. That should be the first thing that we'll try next week. And then we'll see if we can, also try our hands on some other generative AI applications. Yeah, we've stayed too long into this class. Thank you all for joining, and we hope it's worth your time. And please give us a shout out on LinkedIn, give us a shout out on Twitter, on all the platforms that you use. Let other people know that they can learn incredible things all for free. We're essentially doing this as a community service to ensure that people don't get disrupted with AI. People can actually be a disruptor instead of being disrupted. Right. Okay, stick tickets. Stick the key. You're muted. Please go ahead. You have a question? Go ahead. All right. Thank you all for joining to this class. See you next week. Let's join the class early. When we don't join early, this kind of thing happens that we have to extend by some minutes. So let's join the class early next week, and let's have a very beautiful weekend. Let's use the channel, the Telegram channel, to communicate and talk about problems you're having if you need support. And see you guys next week. Thank you.